Welcome to Color Me in Sound, a Black creative series where we amplify creativity and elevate Black voices by highlighting the bold, brilliant, and beautifully creative work of Black women in music, art, storytelling, and design. I am your host, Angel Taylor. In each episode, we bring you into the minds and hearts of women shaping culture through creativity. On this show, we step into the stories behind the work. Today's guest is Dominique Brooks, author, editor, physician, and kidney transplant survivor. Her writing journey started at the age of 8, paused for years during her medical and professional pursuits, and was reignited in the face of a life threatening illness. Dominique now writes layered emotional novels filled with mystery, romance, and family dynamics. Her Chaos, and that's capitalized, Universe series is a tribute to both her love of storytelling and her triumph over fear. So let's get into her inspiring journey. Hey,
Hello,
there
hello,
you go.
hello.
Hey, 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 hey. All
Thank,
right.
thank you very much. I'm glad to
I
be
am
here.
I am so glad to have you here. And even though I know the introduction, reading it again always touched me, just like hearing all the stuff that you went through. So you first knew you wanted to be a writer when you were 8. What
Yes.
sparked that dream so early?
Oh gosh. I am I grew up a big mystery reader. I read lots of Nancy Drew, Trixie Belden, Agatha Christie, on and on. And they aren't like us. So those stories aren't
Right.
like us. So my cousins and I, we're all around the same age, 8, 9 years old. We all decided that we wanted to write our own series with us as main characters.
Yes.
And so, we didn't know what we were doing. We're 8, but we did sit down and we created the characters. I think officially we actually did create a story Bible. Um, we didn't know what we were doing, but we wrote down all the characters' names and who they hung out with, and where they hung out with, who liked who were enemies. We had the whole little thing set up. One of my cousins is an artist, so she drew pictures of all of them, so we
Oh,
knew.
wow.
Right? And another cousin who wanted to be an architect at the time drew, he actually mapped out the neighborhood. So we knew where everybody lived and how close they were to each other and on and on.
And this is 8 years old. Wow.
Yes, but see, I guess that was the easy part. So when it comes to actually writing a story, plotting it out, having a plan, we usually ended up with like one chapter, maybe two, and then we were just kind of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Mm.
So we ended up with a lot of half-written stories. And, my parents worked in computer programming, so I don't know if you remember dot matrix paper. We used to
Oh
fold,
my,
we used to fold it up so it looked like a
you
book.
guys, I'm telling you what, I forgot all about that. That's right.
Yeah, so we would fold it up and staple it so it would look like a book. And my cousin would draw a cover, and but we have only a chapter, maybe two. We didn't know what we were doing. So, and we were 8. So eventually, when we didn't finish a bunch of them, we kind of moved on to something else. But it was fun, and I was looking for them. My parents had moved out of the house where I did this, and I thought they were in the attic, but I believe my mom threw them out.
Aw.
Well, it probably looked like just a bunch of paper.
Yeah, but you know what? The memories are there. So.
Yeah. So that's when it started. And then, I decided to go to medical school and didn't really have time to dedicate to that. So that's kind of where that ended up.
Right. So then you paused your writing while you did go to medicine and business. So what brought you back to writing?
Um, we have my family on my mother's side. A lot of us have a genetic kidney problem called polycystic kidney disease. And so my kidneys started to deteriorate, and I was just really tired because that's what happens when you have kidney disease. So I was pretty much not bedridden, but I was just really tired. So I spent a lot of time sitting in the
Okay.
bed, and I kept thinking, well, this is kind of wasted. You can watch TV all day, but I was like, there's got to be something else I could do.
Right.
Maybe I'll write something. I'll write something. Go back to what I tried to do when I was 8. And so that's where it started. I was, like I said, I was kind of bedridden and just started writing again.
Okay. Not that we want that to happen, but we're glad that it brought you back to this journey that
Yeah.
you blessed us with.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, how did living through kidney failure and receiving a transplant shape the emotional depth of your work?
It's weird. I haven't. I mean, it's been 7 years. I still have not reached the point where I can actually. Because people have asked, why don't you write a story about your transplant journey and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm not able to do that right
Yes,
now.
yes.
Just not. I'd rather write about somebody else. I don't want to get into that again.
Right, right.
But it has kind of heightened my sense of not necessarily mortality, but that if I want to do things, I actually need to get them done.
Yes.
So I have all these story ideas, so I'm just cranking them out. So that's pretty much what going through that did for me was, kind of encouraged me to go ahead and not say, hey, I can do that later. Just I'm writing as much as I can now.
Yes. Okay. So, what inspired the creation of your Chaos Universe series, which is capital letters CHAOS?
Well, it actually, okay, let's have to backtrack a little bit. I went to business school after I finished my residency and had started practicing. And after I finished business school, I decided I wasn't going to practice medicine anymore.
Okay.
And I actually, I had a lot of confusion with my family. Like, wow, you kind of got to the pinnacle. You're a doctor, a practicing doctor. Why are you
right? And
where
you see me, I'm like,
They're like, where are you going? What are you doing? And my father was cool with it. My mother eventually became cool with it, but there were a lot of discussions about why I was doing it. And my original story was going to kind of track that. Because my lead character is a physician who currently in the story is not practicing. And I wanted to, I guess I was going to tell my story through her. But when I actually sat down to write the story, I didn't like that. I wanted that to be her backstory, part of it to be her backstory. And I said, well, I can kind of make a murder mystery. And so I just kind of built all of it from there. But it started with me stopping practicing medicine and wanting that to be the story.
Okay. So what exactly is the CHOS? Does it mean something why it's capitalized?
No, it's capitalized because it's the running strand through all of the stories in that series. I have in one of them, I think it's Homecoming Chaos, one of the other characters tells my lead character, Jameson, that her family looks totally normal, but they are all the most chaotic people she's ever met. And they're I mean, if you look at them, they're a normal a normal African-American family living in Atlanta, upper middle class, maybe a little bit toward the rich side. They own a business. Jamie went to medical school. Her brother is an architect. Her sister's going back to law school. They seem, her dad has a PhD, mom has a master's. They all seem like normal people, just normal people. But stuff always happens to them. They're always in the middle of drama. It's just like a magnet. So they're full of chaos.
Oh, that is cool. I like that. Okay. So you explore. Your themes are family, romance, mystery. So, what
Mhm.
draws you to those things?
The romance came along a little bit later. I mean, obviously, as most young girls do, I read romance books when I was younger, but mystery was always at the time my biggest thing. So I always thought that I would write mystery stories. And when I started
Okay.
writing this story, I kind of looked at the lead character and said, this is a perfect place to have her fall for the detective. Okay.
Oh,
All right, let's write that in there. So,
okay.
and the family, comes from her background
Okay.
because when Homecoming Chaos starts, she is just returning from being away from home for 4 years and not communicating with anybody while she was gone. So that kind of sets the groundwork for there to be a lot of drama because she basically left home and burnt all the bridges when she was leaving.
Okay.
And now she's back trying to repair them. So there's lots of family drama. And when you get further into her backstory, that's why I went back and wrote I Do Chaos, because that kind of gets more into how she ended up leaving for 4 years. And there's a lot of family drama, other relatives creating drama. Like I said, it's chaos.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And did the idea of chaos just come to you, or that's something as you were writing, you noticed you just kept writing this word?
um, It's probably part of both because
Okay.
I remember trying to figure out a title. Oh, that was just it was it was just such a struggle. And I thought about what was going on in the story and I said, well, chaos, this is pretty chaotic, it's pretty dramatic.
Okay.
Okay, let's see if we can go with that. And then it started that kind of drew me to write that more for all the
Okay.
other books. I mean, I right now there's 3 in the series. I have another book in the series, book 4, that I am in the middle of writing, but I have taken a small break and I'm releasing a pure romance story in
Ooh,
June that has nothing to do with them.
romance.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with them. This is a totally different group of characters. Um, I'm actually pretty excited about it because it's a second chance romance between 2
Okay.
doctors.
Oh, okay.
So it's releasing in June. So
Uh,
we're trying to get that out the door.
all right, stay tuned for that. We want to see where these doctors, what's happening. Like I'm already like, wait, what kind of doctor are they? Where do they?
Yeah, they have a lot of drama too.
Oh man, I can't wait for that. So of course, we're on some coloring and sound, and a part of what sound is music. So how does music influence your storytelling?
With this romance book, it actually has more of an impact than it did with the other books. I love music. I used to play 3 different musical instruments. Um, but afterwards I kind of went back and looked at the story and created the playlist.
Okay.
I'm actually creating the playlist as I go this time
Okay.
because
Okay.
the songs are actually, I can like, oh, this was perfect for this scene or perfect for this. So I'm doing more of that now with this book. I didn't do it with the other 3.
And it probably makes it a little easier, right, than trying to go back.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I had some ideas of some of the songs that kind of fit, you know, like for I Do Chaos because it's about a wedding. Um, Let's Get Married. It was a song by
Right.
Jodeci. It was one that I actually thought about using with
The
that
let's
one.
well, the let's get married. I think that's Jagged
Was
Edge.
that
Is it?
was it Jagged Edge?
Yeah.
I was going to say 112. See, yeah. So yeah, you're right. It's Jagged Edge. So that's on that playlist, and a song
Okay.
by The Clash called "Should I Stay or Should I Go."
Oh, oh, I
That's in
can't
there as
wait to
well.
hear. Oh, yes.
So it wasn't as hard as it sounds, just because certain scenes evoke certain songs. So,
Okay.
and my music is spread all over the place. So
Okay.
it's all kind of different songs
Right. Well,
in
those
my
were two good
catalog.
ones. Yep, those were definitely good ones because we gonna be like, yeah, I just want to get married.
I played
Uh,
it at we played it at our wedding. So
okay, okay. So you've written about tough topics like teen pregnancy and eating disorders. How do
yeah.
you weave these issues into character-driven stories?
Um well at this well for the most part they're a big part of her backstory.
Okay.
Just a little tidbit. My main character, Jameson, in the Chaos universe, was a child model. So
Okay.
that actually, having an eating disorder um,
Yeah.
is plays into that very well. And
Yeah.
um, especially since she started modeling when she was like 13 or 14, she was really skinny. But by the time she, started turning was 16, she was filling out a bit. She was growing up and
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't as thin as she had been. So all of that, she ended up with an eating disorder. And the eating disorder went back on her end up getting pregnant because it affected her birth control
Yeah.
because she thought she was grown. She thought she was grown as a
Mm.
16-year old because
But at that age, we think we are.
yeah, she thought she was grown, and she had an eating disorder, and then she ended up getting pregnant, and that kind of derailed her life for a while. She got it back together and went to medical school, etc., and so on. But that's all of those issues still affect her now as a 30-something-year-old woman. So
Mm. So it
it,
sounds like some of these characters have a little bit of you in them. What do you?
yeah, she actually was based on me, except for all the
Okay.
drama. She,
Okay.
because she's a doctor who doesn't practice. She's tall like I am. She was based on me, and then I had to add some because if I wrote a book strictly about me, it'd be boring. Nobody, nobody want to read about
There's
that.
no chaos with you, huh?
Yeah, no, not like that. So I had to layer in more drama and things with her. But yeah, she's kind of based on me.
Okay. So, all right. So, for friends and family that's asking, go back and read that because you'll be able to get some of the things.
Oh, I've actually had people say that already. Like,
Okay.
yeah, we
So
kind of,
they okay. So you know.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they're kind of like,
stop
we get
bugging
it.
her.
Yeah, they're kind of like, we get it.
Yes. So now, when you're doing different things with these books, how do you collaborate with editors, designers, or other writers to bring your books to life?
um, it's ironic that you said that. I had the same editor for the first 3 books,
Okay.
and for this book, I have a different editor. So the process has been totally different this time than it was for the other 3 books.
Okay.
Um, I've had the same cover designer for all 4 books. And I mean, I love them. I think they've done a great job. We'll see how
Okay.
this last one comes out, and we'll know. Uh,
Mm.
but this editor that I'm working with she's a lot more hands-on throughout the entire process, a little bit
Okay.
more than my previous editor was. So I'm still trying to, navigate what it's like to have an editor because she's doing, she did the developmental edit. She's going
Okay.
to do the copy edit and the line edit and proofread. So, and then we're also hoping to perhaps have a few beta readers
Right.
and some ARC readers. So she's with me through the entire journey, which is a little different than my previous editor. The cover designers they're really cool. They have a big form that you
Okay.
fill out about what you think you want on the cover, and you can send over images that look like what you want the people to look like, or send other covers that give an idea of what you want it to look like, and they go from there. Um, I said I guess this time I don't have extra editors. Like I said, in the past, I had a different proofreader, a different copy editor,
Okay.
and things like that. but this time it's going to go through one main person. So we'll see how that goes.
So is that a part of the reason that you switched? Is it taking a load off of you by having one person?
I think it does.
Okay.
Um, but I think I want this, since this book is also a romance. I wanted to look for an editor that worked more in romance.
Okay.
So I switched mainly because of that.
All right.
And we'll see how it feels to have one person kind of guiding it. So far, it's been cool because, she'll send me a text every so often or send me an email saying, hey, we're going to do this. I mean, she also sent me a guide for some social media posts. It's been different. It's been a cool experience this time.
Okay. All right. That is nice. So she's switching themes. That's why she switched editors. So don't anyone get upset. Okay. Let's make that real clear.
Right. Yes, yes.
All right. So now, as a Black author, what challenges have you faced and how have you navigated them?
I'm still trying to navigate them. Still, still. Um,
Okay.
well, there's it. I've run into a lot of people who are really, really cool and really open about reading, whatever, and want to be diverse. But there are a lot of people who are still trying to embrace that, a story written by a Black author or a Latina or,
Yeah.
a Native American is still a story. It's not like we're real
Right.
unicorns. Yeah, it's not like we're
Yeah.
unicorns or anything. A romance between, I mean, there may be different backgrounds, different, different slang, different things, but at the core of it, it's still people living through a story.
Right.
And you don't have to, have experienced that in order to be able to enjoy the story. Because, like, I saw somebody write, you've never experienced a dragon chasing you, but you don't have a problem reading fantasy.
Right.
So it's not, you don't have to experience in order to enjoy the story. And there's still people out there who
Mm.
don't 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 embrace it at this point.
Right.
So it's, you just have to work your way through it. There's really no magic to get people to try your book and say, "Oh, this is a lot of fun."
Right. Okay.
But I said I've met a lot of people who are there, so those are the folks that I usually end up dealing with and talking about my book with.
Okay.
I obviously like to expand my horizon, so always continue to reach out.
Okay. All right. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but hopefully people will see, especially maybe once there's romance, because everyone loves romance.
That is true.
No
That is
matter
true.
what, no, who you are, where you like, they just love romance and love. So
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully
So
that'll cross a barrier. So we'll keep our fingers crossed with that one.
me too.
Yeah. So, what advice would you give to someone who's afraid to pick up writing after their long pauses?
Yeah, something that I wish I had done was, I wish I hadn't stopped. Even if I
Yeah.
wasn't writing to publish or anything like that, I wish I had continued to write. Something else I always say is it's never too late. I mean,
Okay.
I'm older and I decided to start writing, and I know I don't have as much runway as if I had started when I was, 25,
Mm-hmm.
but it's never too late. I mean, I've written one novel and two novellas. It's never too,
Okay.
and there are lots of options out there to get your book out. And also, um, even if you don't have a whole lot of money, you need to have a friend group of other
Okay.
authors, because they can talk you up, they can give you advice. You may be
Mm-hmm.
able to swap skills if you aren't able to, pay hundreds of dollars for an editor. Maybe you have a friend who can read it and
Right.
edit it for you, or you can use Canva. The to make a cover, or you have a friend who can make a cover for you. So,
Right.
it's never too late, and you need friends. You
All
need friends.
right. And yeah, and groups.
Yes,
And groups
yes,
helps.
because it's a solitary profession. Writing is solitary, but you don't have to do it by yourself, because there are other people in the same boat who are writing and worried that nobody's reading what they're writing, or that they aren't selling what they wanted to, or how to get reviews, or there are just so many different aspects that if you have writing groups or other friends who are in that same
Yeah.
boat, they can give you their thoughts. I mean, they may be like you and don't know,
Right.
but you can all figure it out together. So,
Right, right. Great advice. So, if your writing had a mission statement, what would that be?
hmm, hmm. Uh, I know for the Chaos series, my original mission statement was, you can always go home again and try to rebuild your relationships, because that's basically what the first 3 books have been about.
Okay.
Um, and I guess technically the romance, since it's a second chance romance, it's basically the same thing. You can always go back or try again.
Okay. And does that resonate with you? Do you live that out?
Well, I mean, yes, I guess, because I started trying to write when I was 8, so I've
Okay.
I've gone back to it now.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Yep. Never give up and just keep on going. And
yeah,
but it's okay to take breaks, but come
yeah,
back to it if you feel like
yeah.
that's your passion, right?
Right. If you feel that that's, I mean, I've had people send me Instagram messages, just asking questions, or you know, how did you get the courage to do it? It's like, hey, just do it. You don't even have to publish. That's the thing. I mean,
Right.
you can write and keep it on your computer. If that makes you feel fulfilled, you can just write. You don't have to create books for everybody to read. You can just write it for yourself,
Right.
or write poetry, or whatever it is that you feel like you want to write. You can just write. You don't have to please other people. It can just be for you.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed learning about you today. So, right before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to say that you have not said that might help someone else in their journey?
Uh, in their journey, um, I also think that you should be open minded uh, about what you write as well. Um, there's nothing wrong or wrong with being a multi-genre writer. I know a lot of people stick to one or another. As you can see, I'm writing a romance now. I wrote a romantic suspense series now. I also want to write a straight mystery novel as well.
Uh-huh.
I just say, just write it, be open-minded, and enjoy it, because it's all
Yeah.
about the story.
Yeah. And I want to know, right, again, do you find it hard to be criticized on, I
Um,
mean, of course, no one likes to be criticized, but your
it depends. I mean, it shouldn't bother me at all, because actually, ironically, you asked this. I saw a post on Instagram where a woman who was a doctor she was making a joke about somebody writing a mean comment on her account, and she just kind of laughed, saying, "I'm a doctor. I went through internship and residency.
right.
This is nothing." And I thought about that when I saw that, and I said, this really shouldn't bother me, because some of the things that people said to you when you were an intern,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay. Or even, I had patients who weren't very nice. So
Mm.
it really shouldn't bother me. I think it would annoy me more when um, you never respond to criticism.
Yeah,
Because you get in a lot of trouble trying to chase down someone. But sometimes
exactly.
you read a negative review and you think, they really didn't understand what I was saying. And that's when you kind of start, well, was it not clear? Why
All
did they
right.
not understand? I thought it was really clear and they
All
didn't get
right.
what I was doing. So that's why they didn't like it. And so you start running in your head and stuff. So I recognize that no one book will make everyone happy. And if you go and look at some of the trad published, multi-million sellers, they all have negative reviews as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and so do a lot of the $1 million movies. They
Yes,
have negative
yes,
reviews too, but they're
yeah,
still selling out with other
yeah.
movies. So, yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. So, look straight into the camera and share your social media platforms and your website with our audience.
Okay, my website is authordwbrooks.com. You can purchase signed autographed paperback copies. My Instagram, Facebook, threads are all author D.W. Brooks. I tried to keep the same name. And TikTok is D.W. Brooks. Thank you very much.
Ooh, all right. Well, thanks
Was
for tuning in.
I wasn't sure if we were still on or not. Sorry.
uh, let's see. We might still be on, but hey, they want us to still talk. So
Okay, that's fine. That's cool.
yeah, so we'll still keep talking.
All right.
So now I know that with your homecoming chaos, what was your biggest personal breakthrough in completing that?
Hmm. Uh, I think for me, the biggest breakthrough was actually completing it. Because, actually being able to bring it to a conclusion that made sense. Because, like I said, as a child, we wrote a lot of stories that never got completed. So actually
Yeah.
finishing it was huge for me. It actually has a conclusion. The mystery part's solved. There's some threads that can be pulled for future books. Okay, I'm happy with this. Uh,
Right.
Obviously, if I went back and rewrote it completely again, there would probably be some things that I would fiddle with and change. But overall, I'm happy with how it came out.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again. All right. Bye.
Thank you very much. I
All right.
enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning into another episode of Color Me and Sound, a Black creative series where we amplify creativity and elevate Black voices. Dominique Brooks reminds us that creativity can be a form of healing, that writing is an act of resilience, and that no dream is ever too far gone to reclaim it. From her Chaos Universe series to her advocacy for organ donation, she's an example of what it looks like to live and write with intention. So please make sure you follow her work. And until next time, write your truth, honor your path, and stay inspired.